Hello Stampers, my name is Linda Bedinger and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and today I'd like to show you how I made this card. Recently I had to make a card for a wedding, and this is the design that I came up with. I actually started out by using a retired die without realizing it had been retired, so I designed it using a current die. And so what I thought I would do is show you today how I made it and what you need to make this card. I want to demonstrate one of our other new products too here. You need, I used a piece of Very Vanilla 8.5 by 5.5 scored at 4 1/4, and then I have two additional pieces, one that measures 4 1/4 by 3.75 and one that measures 3.5 by 4, and that's all you need to do this card. Now the thing I want to talk to you about is this new product in the catalog. This is the permanent adhesive, multi-purpose permanent adhesive sheets. I think that's what it's called. Yes, multi-purpose adhesive sheets. They're by Sizzix, and what they do is attach to the back of your paper before you put your piece through the die cutting machine, through your Big Shot, and it adds a glue because it's a double-sided sticky, and it turns the product that you have, or your cutout, into a sticker, which makes these intricate dies much easier to deal with. And so I thought I would demonstrate that today. So we'll start by cutting this die, and I see this one still has a few little pieces left in it here, and I think that's about it. So what I've done is I've cut this piece of this adhesive sheet, and I'm going to use my craft sheet here because this stuff is very sticky, and I cut it to fit this piece. And so what you do is you peel back the paper here, and then adhere this to your piece of paper, and okay, and I cut it a little bit long. So what I'm going to do is use my snips and trim this down because we don't need any more sticky paper any place we don't need it. Okay, so that piece has got a piece of this adhesive now on the entire back side, and we're going to run this through the Big Shot the way we would ordinarily do. And I don't usually cut on camera, but today I'm going to do this because I think it's important for you to understand just how this stuff works. So I'll bring up my Big Shot here, and I'm mindful of a couple of things. Recently I've gotten some comments on my videos that sometimes my voice is a little low, so I am going to try and remember today to use my outside voice and that sometimes I go off the screen as I'm doing things, so I'm going to try and be very mindful for being on screen. Now, this project makes that very challenging because this Big Shot is, of course, bigger than my screen. So what we're going to do, what's on here is my regular Big Shot platform, my thin die adapter, my precision cutting plate, words down, black side up. Then I'm going to put my paper, and I'm going to put the adhesive side down. Then I am going to put my piece of paper here, or my die, and you see I've left almost no margin, very, very thin margin on this piece. And so I'm going to run this through the Big Shot, And so you only need one cutting plate when you use the precision base plate. And let's see, I don't want that to move. So, okay, here we go. I'm making this more difficult. I don't have my plate on there straight. So I'm going to run it through, and then I'm going to run it back through one time. And we'll just see how we did here. And I think you can see that it cut through pretty well all the way through. And the next thing I'm going to do is run it back through the Big Shot using, I'm going to take the die off first. Well, let's see. Maybe I'll just go ahead and run it back through with this on it. This die has this piece that cuts off a similar shape end to this piece, and I'm going to run that back through with that piece on there now so that I don't have to fussy cut that end. And it's amazing when your cutting plate goes on straight how much easier it is to manage the Big Shot. Okay, so there we have that piece. Now, I'm going to need this one again in a second. I'm going to move the Big Shot off the way here and bring out my foam pad and die brush. Okay, let's see how we're doing here. So I'm going to take this piece off of the die, and it's cut through pretty well, but I do have a few little pieces that are left that need to come out. I'm going to use my die brush on some of them, and then I'll probably have to use my pokey tool to get a few more of those out. Let's see. Boy, not very many. Let's see. Where is my pokey tool? There. And as I look at this now, I think that's just about everything. Okay, so I am going to clean up this die later. I'm going to get rid of that refuse. And there we have our piece cut out. Put this underneath so you can see that. And what I'm going to do is bring in this other piece. This other piece was 4 1/4 by 3 3/4. And I cut it to be 4 1/4 because, let me just go ahead and get this card base ready. All right, so I cut this piece 4 1/4 because I really want this whole piece here to cover the entire top of the card and not have any rim showing at all. So what I'm going to do then is to remove the sticker, and all you have to do is pick up an end and take off the backing, and now this piece has sticky on it all over, so there's no trying to put Tombow in the corners or using fine tip glue pen, because now all I have to do is center this piece on here and stick it down. Isn't that wonderful? And so now that is completely stuck down. A little piece of glue sticking out there at the end, which I'll get rid of. Okay, So there we have our piece stuck down exactly. And so now this piece is ready to go on here, but I don't want this blunt edge. So what I'm going to do is take my Big Shot again, bring it back in place. So there we have this piece, and I'm going to take this piece and put it back on here, and I'm going to take this edgelet again and put it in place here to cut off. You'll see that it goes all the way across this piece here. And if there's any piece that is not quite all the way across, we can always just nip it off. Okay, I think that mirrors the edge pretty well. Now I'm going to take my cutting plate and run this through the Big Shot. And because I'm just cutting one edge, I'll only have to run that through one time. So I know that part's off camera, but I'll bring it forward here so you can see. And it just came apart. So now I have this beautifully cut edge that matches the floral design. And so this edgelet I used twice, once with the detail die and then once again on the card. And this little edge is kind of sticking up, and so is this one, and so I think I'm just going to make that edge a little softer. You can see what I've done there. Okay, so let me move the Big Shot out of the way now. We're completely done with it. And what I have wanted to do here was to, on the card that I demonstrated, this card is a wedding card, and marriage is a journey, and then on the inside of it, it says, good thing you get to bring along your best friend. And I thought that sentiment was very, very cute. The other thing I'm using with this card is this dynamic embossing folder. This is the new one that is the leaf design. And when you run this through the Big Shot, what you do is you run this through the platform and a cutting plate and the folder, and no cutting plate on top, because this is very thick and takes the place of the other cutting pad. And if you want the embossed side to show, you need to put your card in the front of your card on the same side as the signs here that say Sizzix and Stampin' Up. So what you would do is put this card in this folder like this. I moved mine down so I didn't catch any edges, and run that through the Big Shot. Now you'll notice here that's not a separate sticker or a separate piece on there. I stamped right on the card and then I embossed it. I thought I would do that just as something a little bit different, and I kind of like the way it came out. So to save a little bit of time on that, I've already run one through, and this time I changed my sentiment because I thought this one would work easily as well as an anniversary card. I also think this would make a great sympathy card. So you could put with deep sympathy down here and then a little bit of message on the inside. So this one now says happy anniversary down here, and on the insides it says congratulations. So the only thing I would point out about this folder is if you run the folder through with your card like this, which is what I did the first time on this, the impression is softer. And I don't know if you can see that detail on here, but if you look at this piece right here, it's barely embossed. And then some pieces are more heavily embossed. And on this end of the card, all of the pieces are more heavily embossed. So this one See the very barely embossed on some of these leaf detail. I ran this one through like this with my card in with the signs going this way. And this one I ran through this side so that it would give me the more heavily embossed detail on the bottom. And you can see here there is no hesitation. This is very heavily embossed on the bottom. And I kind of like that detail a bit more. I like to see the embossing. So for me, it paid to run it through this way instead of this way, so I got the heavy embossing where I could see it. Okay, enough babbling. All right, so what I'm going to do now is get some of this stuff out of the way here. We are going to take this piece and we're going to adhere it to the front of this card. And I'm going to do that with dimensionals. Okay, so I'm going to put this piece on here, and boy, other than a little bit of extra decorating, this card is pretty well done. I thought it would be a very interesting detail for a card, for an envelope, to run the back flap of the envelope through the embossing folder to give a little bit of detail on it. But I think this would make, like I said, I thought, a good wedding card, make a good happy anniversary card, and would make a good sympathy card as well. So what I'm going to do is take some scrap of the very vanilla, and I'm going to take, feel like it's cheating just a little, but old punches, the old Petite Petals punch and the Itty Bitty flower punch, mostly just to save time. There are dies that we have that will give you these same little kinds of flowers, and so just to save time today, I thought I would just use these and get the flowers cut out. I think 2, 3, I think I need 6 of those little guys, and I need 4 of these. For some of this kind of detail, or if you have a lot of cards to do like I do getting ready for a class, I actually prefer the punches, but I know that the industry is moving more towards dies. Kind of annoying, actually. All right, so here we go. So what I'm going to do is put these little flowers here, and I'm sure many of you still have these punches, and if not, we have many dies that will do much the same thing. And what I'm going to do is just using the back side of my pokey tool here, and just give these little flowers a little bit of dimension. Okay. All right, and then I'm going to use glue dot here, glue dots, and I'm going to take each of these and put a glue dot on it. Okay. Extra glue dots on me. All right, so what I'm going to do is take this card, and you'll see I ended up putting 3 flowers on the front And the eye has an appreciation for odd numbers, so 3 seems like a good bet to me. And I'm just going to place these little flowers on the inside of these. And then I put one more down here. And on this one, I think I'll just put these 2, one on either side of that one, or tucked in between there. Okay, so the last thing we have to do is to add a little pearl detail. And let me grab my little sheet of pearls that I have ready here. And I put pearls, this sort of medium-sized one, inside all of the flowers. In fact, that one lost his. I'll add that back now. And add a few more around for detail. Let's see, I just randomly put a few here. And if I stick with my theory, I should add 3 or 5, and so I'm going to make it 5. So we're still in the odd number category. And then to the inside, I'm also going to add the pearl detail to the center of the little flowers here. All right, there we go. That is the project for today. Actually, like I said, once you do the cutting, this is a really pretty simple little card, and I did this stamping, by the way, in basic gray. Black was a little stark, and so I liked the basic gray. And this one says congratulations. This one says good thing you get to bring your best friend along. And so that is the project for today. Thanks so much for stopping by my YouTube channel. I do appreciate it. And subscribe if you'd like to not miss future projects as I do them. The material here, with the exception of the little flowers, can be ordered on my website, lbettinger.stampinup.net. And if you don't already have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, I'd love to be your demonstrator. And or you could join my team. Now, down below in the video are the sizes and the names of all of the dies and stamp sets that I used, so on and so forth. Marriage is a Journey came from Flourishing Phrases, and Happy Anniversary came from Best Birds. And so that's where these two sentiments ended up coming from. Happy Anniversary and Congratulations are both in Best Birds, and Marriage is a Journey and Good Thing You Get to Bring Your Best Friend Along is in Flourishing Phrases. So, the prize draw for this month is 5 ink pads of the new in colors for Stampin' Up!, which is Powder Pink, the Fig Color, Lemon Lime Twist, Berry Burst, and can't remember. It'll be down below. I'm still getting used to the new names. And so until next time, bye.